Yo. Howdy, howdy. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, it's one of those just resetting the cartridge a couple times to get it into the right position. It was sitting here on this lovely menu that just sits here and doesn't do anything and has no sign of life for a long time. So I don't know if it was actually working in total. But then I went and tapped the the cartridge and it's like, oh, this little red arrow is not actually moving. Um, and then a couple attempts to restart. I had one where um the scroll only went down to show the proceed without saving section, but the create Castlevania note now text was behind the scroll. So, well, hey. Anyway, I hope this button works because I didn't like do any checks to make sure that the Castlevania. Yeah, that's what I thought. One free note and 9 pages required. Please delete note 2. Yep, that's what I thought. Oh boy. Oh, that's quite loud. One sec. Don't mind me just Googling N64 memory card management. I'm willing to guess this is a per game sort of situation. Sometimes it's holding start, sometimes it's holding B. So I used to do I haven't for like a year at this point. I did YouTube stuff that was recording old games on VHS. I know I've talked about that in a few different spaces, and that was a fun time. But also, I just kind of got burnt out on most everything. So I haven't done that for almost a year at this point. I did like the last one I did was a spooky season video for Slay the Princess last year. It is an absolute process. It is like 12 different cables um, just to get the thing started. My CRT does not help because it's old and you can't use the RCA in that you're supposed to. So I have to like have things go through coax instead, which needs to go through a VCR, but specifically a specific VCR that has coax out, and the other VCR that I actually used to record doesn't have coax out. So I have to do RCA from one VHS to the other VHS to coax out to my CRT, so I can actually see what I'm doing. That's just to play the game. And then there's a third VHS or VCR involved in recording processes because I found that recording on a VCR and playing back on that same VCR didn't have quite the same crunch to it. But yeah, it's very silly. It's very much a process, and like the main thing is like just it means that every time I play something, I have to like leave my computer or my laptop in a room to record the footage off the VCR itself. All right, we're gonna try holding start. Sorry for the blue screen flash. And then there's all of the way. Oh hey, I still have a Quest 64 save on here. Snowboard Kids, why are you so huge? Good gravy. We'll get rid of the Quest 64, see if that does anything. Free pages 2. Is that enough space? Not enough space. 1 free note and 9 pages. That is such a useless recommendation. Oh, man. Well, I did drag out a memory card for this. Let's see. I really don't want to get rid of the Snowboard Kids save for reasons. And as far as I could find, I thought I had picked up at some point a, like, big, 64-page memory card thing for the 64. Maybe it was just PS1? I can't find it around here. I'm tempted to go have, like, one more quick look around, but also... heck. Alright, well, we'll just go ahead and hop in without a memory card, still, apparently. Just going to update the stream title, but it's full. There we go. Man... yeah, like, I thought Quest 64 was the one that was always causing problems and taking up way too much space. But apparently it's Snowboard Kids. And that was kind of a problem with the N64 memory card, from what I remember, was just like, so many games when it first came out just didn't have, like, they did not respect any amount of space that you might need for other games. So it's like the memory card felt kind of useless most of the time because it's like, oh, it's always out of room. Play on normal. Last time we were playing around as Carrie. Let's mess around with Reinhardt this time around. And also last time we kind of discovered, hey, actually this game's kind of decent. And like, I don't remember enjoying it much as a kid, but it's like coming back as an adult, I can really appreciate like how much work goes into everything.
In this time of peace and plenty, no one foresees.
We'll let the narrator talk.
Ancient horrors, but the old legends live, and soon the land will again be plunged into darkness. The people have returned to the path of wickedness, and the bonds that seal their evil ruler's spirit are weakening. Deep in his castle, he stirs from a century of enforced sleep. Count Dracula awakes.
Oh no.
Reinhard Schneider, heir to the ancient Belmont clan of vampire hunters. His blood dooms him to oppose the might of Count Dracula. Wielding the holy whip of his ancestors, the young vampire killer begins his quest.
Okay, I have to admit, I love a low poly, old school, retro fun time game in this era with text scrolling up and a crunchy narrator voiceover. Mega Man Legends comes to mind because I absolutely adore how that narrator seems surprised when he gets to the line about flying machines. He's kind of like,
courage, don't leave me.
He's just reading along, and he gets to the part with flying machines, and he's just like, and they travel around, and they're flying machines, and it's just like, it's such a fun. Fire doesn't matter, hooray! All right, so we have a saber. And we've got our whip. The whip, I do say, is a weird one. Oh, Mega Man Legends holds up really quite well. Like, there's some, it's an old game, and with it, old game controls and all that. Like, I will admit that begrudgingly. But it still looks really good because of how they did their low poly style and like focused on like really good pixel art for all of the their textures, and like it's just a bright, colorful adventure that goes places. All right, how does this whip work? Seems fine. Just have to get close. Yeah. Some Metroid games they're really going in that Mega Man's Legends style, and I love them for it. Something comes to mind. Oh, what is it called? Gosh dang it, Tori. There we go. That's kind of using that PS1 style with the Mega Man Legends vibe. So what I was kind of running into last time is just like there's a lot of like little details in this game that really work, and just like didn't realize they were there. Like there's a walk animation, there's like a jog animation, we've got run animations, we've got like nice smooth movement between them. There's like sliding and ducking and like crawling animations. There's all sorts of technology thrown into these skeletons. Like there was a skeleton that lost its head and was just like walking into a corner. There was another skeleton like lost its legs and started crawling after me. And just like, man, games these days don't even do that most of the time. It's like Resident Evil 2 Remake got really, really well praised for doing, those sorts of things. Let me just get run over by giant Donkey Kong here. Bye. I do kind of love how he just... There he is. He just goes down there, turns around, and then leaves. It is kind of interesting that, like, it seems like a lot of games that people thought sucked in, like, the 2010s or when they originally came out, it's just like, actually, this is pretty good. It's always just kind of like, I think a lot of it comes down to just, like, what you were expecting at the time. Like, I know Dark Souls 2 has that kind of treatment for me, where it's like, going into Dark Souls 2 is like, oh man, it's going to be similar to Dark Souls 1. And then just like, it felt floatier and the map wasn't like super cohesive and some other vague complaints. And then, the years go on. It's like, actually, Dark Souls 2 is really good. My expectations were not right for what this game turned out to be. Oh, retro collectors, the bane of my existence. It's not even the retro collectors, it's the, well, is it? It's the people who are driving prices up because it makes their collections more valuable. Those people. Shame on them. People actually buying games for playing them and archival purposes and whatnot. Good on them. Second. That's how dare you. Power up. Please let me out of this cutscene. Despawned. Boo. Hello, large guy. Let me go. There's a power up back here. Yeah, I think you're kind of right in a way of like there are these eras of review, and like with I think really just like the biggest thing with like people coming to Twitch to see how things play. It's like they're actually playing the games themselves, and I know like I have a video essay idea that is just stewing, never actually getting anywhere. Not enough meat on the bone to actually like turn into a video at some point. But like mimetic opinions where like somebody on the internet said something once, like Zelda 2 is bad. And they're actually very wrong. But like that was the popular opinion at the time. And it turns out that actually, no, these games are, in fact, quite good. Yeah, it's a bandwagoning effect and just, like, otherwise just, people not experiencing things for themselves and just kind of quoting kind of, not inauthentic. Come on, cross. There we go. And I got the roast chicken. Hooray. I should probably eat something because I'm going to die. But things like people saying that Bubsy is a bad game. And it's like, were you a kid in the 90s? Did you play Bubsy? Like, are there better platformers? Yeah, pretty easily. You can just kind of go look at Mario and Sonic and say, yeah, these are better than most any other platformer. Hooray. A small amount of money. But at the same time, it's like, Bubsy, yeah, it's a silly game, but... Okay, yeah, Bubsy 3D is terrible. Like, that one just doesn't work. It is an unfortunate consequence of moving to 3D. Bubsy itself, though, like, that's a comfort game for me. It is a silly, fun, cartoon game. Bubsy 3D... You can play it for yourself and also determine that it's bad. But, like, it's real rough. It is really just like one of those, hey, we tried to make a 3D game, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we didn't, Nintendo it up and just, like, make one of the seminal games of the era. Yeah, Bubsy's quirky and like it's quirky, it's cartoony, it's silly, and like the controls are kind of weird. And the jumps are kind of weird. But like that doesn't stop it from being fun. All right. First challenge of the run. Made it. That jump is so cruel. Speaking of jumps that are cruel. And because my memory card is full, Just puts us right back at the start of the game. And that is an unfortunate way to play this game. Yeah, there's just like... There are so many mimetic opinions about... like games that are actually like fun and good and like please play them for yourself sort of things. Man, not having a powered up whip is hard. Come back here, skeleton. I don't want to get rid of that Snowboard Kids save because it's like that's on the last level, basically. I think that quest save might have been my one that was also like right at the end of the game, but also I haven't played it in so long that starting over wouldn't be a bad thing. Like, another one of those games is Castlevania 2. Actually, a really good game. Like, I played through it recently, and then I played through it like 3 more times. Because it's short, and it's short, it's solid, it has like these... It actually has multiple endings based on how fast you beat it, which I never knew until this playthrough. And it's like, the thing that always gets quoted about it is just like oh hey, here's this dumb crouch for 5 seconds at a cliff to get taken away to another part of the map. Which, out of context, yes, that is very silly. And it's not great. But in context, like, the game does previously teach you that kneeling for 5 seconds is a way to interact with certain spaces. So you have, like, you have been previously taught that kneeling is a thing. And the one clue that's like, pray at Deborah Cliff or whatever. It's not a great clue, but it is at least, like, pointing you in the right direction. Could it have had a better translation? Absolutely. But also, like, as is, it's not nearly as obtuse as people make it out to be. I have also recently played through Zelda 2, and that one's a little rougher. I do feel like combat in Zelda 2 is just, for the most part, a bad time. Is feel like you just don't have the range that you need in that game. Because you have to get, like, right up into things' faces, and then they just kind of scoot back and forth. So if they walk into you, you take, you know, some ridiculous amount of damage. And just, like, how many times you have to hit things is a little silly. There's also some... There's one point at which it's like, oh yeah, there's the bridge that you need to talk to a guard to lower, but that guard won't lower it until you talk to some guy out in the woods somewhere. And there's just like no indication. It's like, it's still good, it's still a fun game, and it's also, like, an interesting take on just Zelda stuff. Of, like, the whole side-scrolling, like, more active combat, more of a spell-casting Link. All that is really fascinating. And, like, a lot of the moment-to-moment gameplay is a lot of fun. It's just like, there's overall, some rough stuff with it. Combat is one of those things that is like, it's fun in the moment, but also really, it's rough. Not the way to go. And I'm really bummed about this memory card being full. I need to dig around and see if I did actually, like, I know I bought a giant multi-page memory card of some sort. I just need to track down, like, was it the one that I bought for PlayStation, or was it actually an N64 one, and have I just tucked it somewhere that's not where I expect? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the general opinion is on, like, Zelda 2 being so different. Like, that one I'm not too sure about. I know, like, I grew up in the era, so, like, having your second game be entirely different from your first one was, like, par for the course. And also, like, I do kind of miss that era of games. Just being like, yeah, it's the same themes, or like a continuation of story thing, but it is also like really mixing up what the game is. I was real concerned about this jump. Alright, this one. God. We do make sure we're facing the right direction. Don't immediately jump, turn around. Yeah, that's always the thing that I think I like about Nintendo. Like, there's kind of two major things with Nintendo of like why I've always been a fan. Three things. The third thing that I'm adding on at the end is I've always had a Nintendo in the house. I grew up with it, so it's just like, you know, it's there. Oh man, Star Fox. Yeah. But it's like the two things that always bring me back to Nintendo. It's just like it's definitely that they shake up their IPs a lot, and they are often trying new things. Like even with like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like, could Tears of the Kingdom been more different from Breath of the Wild? Yeah, probably. But also, like, there's enough stuff that shakes up the formula. Boy. Yep. I got hit with a bone. Back to the start. Try again. Oh man, yeah, an F-Zero game would be lovely to see. The second big thing that keeps me coming back to Nintendo is just that of the modern consoles, they've consistently felt like the one that gives you a, like, they've consistently felt like the one that is like the reason that it's still a console and not just like just buy the game on PC. Like, with Xbox and PlayStation, like, a lot of their games really get into, like, they don't really do anything that is like, you could only do this on a console. And like, this is part of why it's hard to like archive Nintendo games. It's like, everything about the DS is just like, that stuff's weird. The Wii, it's weird. It's weird, it's a unique control scheme, but also it's like, it's why the console is different. And, like, you know, you can plug in an Xbox controller or, like, the PlayStation controller to a PC and buy whatever modern game, and it'll be almost exactly the same experience. But, like, I feel like Nintendo's always done a little bit better of a job offering something unique about their consoles to justify why isn't this just a PC game. I know, like, I really do enjoy Mario Kart 8, and I'm glad that it got some F-Zero tracks. It's a bit of a bummer that that's probably eaten F-Zero's lunch for a while. Who knows? Nintendo does surprise us from time to time. Maybe... can't even say the sentence with a straight face. Maybe, just maybe, they'll actually, like, have F-Zero be a launch title. Or Switch 2 or whatever. Probably not, but... sure would be nice. Oh yeah, yeah. 1,000 Year Door release. Like, that shocked everyone. God, it's like, it's that thing that is like, all the game company CEOs are just like, oh, we don't have any IP. And then, like, everyone is just like, you have this entire portfolio of all of these beloved properties. You just haven't done anything with them for 10 years. And, you know, there's, of course, everything everybody ever says about, like, Nintendo and the, like, their online service versus the, Virtual Console. That's what I'm looking for. So polite of that skeleton, just stand there while I pull this switch and open this door. Yeah, Banjo-Tooie just got announced, or I'm not was it added, or is it just announced? Not on the expanded version of online. There's just, like, not quite enough there for me. Nope, don't fall off the edge. Let's get into action view so I can actually keep track of this fight, maybe? There we go. There we go. Should have a fully powered up whip now. Now to not just fall off a bridge into some water. Available October 25th. Okay. I think next Friday? I do kind of like that Nintendo has been doing those, like, really short turnarounds for announcing and stuff actually coming out for a lot of things. Like, it's always kind of nice when you get that it's available the same day as it being announced. I'm really kind of expecting that to happen with Silk Song when that eventually happens. There we go. Got my cross. Now to pull chicken out of the statue. And of course, there's Metroid Prime 4, which they announced forever ago. I do hope that actually comes out someday. I'd also really like to see a remastered Metroid Prime 2 and 3. Yeah, it did make a lot more sense when it's like, we have 5 games coming out. Bye, Crystal. 5 games coming out total for the season, and not, hey, everybody ever has made a game now. Okay, this is a really bad camera angle. Can I... Alright, here we go. I feel like also just Nintendo's clocked on to just like announcing things way ahead of time just often is a bad idea. Because it's like you end up with the Metroid Prime situation. Where it's like everybody's excited for the number 4 floating in space. And that's all we got. We got an entirely different Metroid game in that time. If not 2. I think we might have gotten Metroid 2 remake also in that time. And we just have to get through, I think, one more rough platforming section. I did enjoy Dread. It also kind of solidified... Okay, this guy. Okay, what is my... This button? There we go. Okay. Now the question is, do we go for the extra crystal thing in that torch that is a much scarier looking jump than it actually is? Or heck it, because we're not going to go into hard mode after beating the game. So, over the last couple months, I've been playing a lot of Castlevania. It kind of started with just like, I had stuck in my head of just like, hey, Castlevania Symphony Night is really good. But why is that? Like, what actually, systematically, like, makes it really good? Which, I do have a video over on YouTube about that. It's nice and short. I think it's pretty good. But the short answer is just like the addition of RPG mechanics to this sort of game actually really good, because it gives you something to put into the corners of exploration that don't have to be like bomb upgrades or missiles or, you know, here's ammo and maybe some life. And it's like, yeah, maybe items that you may or may not use aren't exciting to you, but also I think they're neat. Holy water is fun, but I do like the cross. We'll keep the cross for now. Okay. Here we go. More platforming. Oh, by the way, there is fall damage in this game. I had a really good time playing through Symphony Night, and then I played it through another couple times because I was just having fun with it. And then I played it through another several times because I was still having fun with it. And I wanted to try some few different things, and just ended up playing it probably like 10 times in a row. And some of that was for like footage gathering and like confirming map shapes for video reasons and stuff like that. Right, we're free. But a lot of it was just like I was having a really good time revisiting that game. And I wanted to try different things and see what else happens and all that other stuff. But then I went on to like the Game Boy Advance collection that I'd had for a couple of years at this point and just hadn't done anything with. What did I did hit yes for that switch down there, right? Is there another grate? Circle of Moon was really good. Right, I guess we'll go back. I'd rather not go back down to confirm I pulled a lever. I will explore things up here first. Yeah, played through Circle of the Moon. Was kind of tempted to play it again because they do that thing where they, like, each playthrough, or like you play through once and then they give you the secret name for like magician mode or whatever. Lion-like beast, which one's that? Ah, here we go. Hello, exploding skeletons, please leave me alone. I'm gonna really regret not picking up that roast beef at the start of the game. Probably. Oh yeah, the Cerberus boss. God, these jumps are so scary. Yeah, Circle of the Moon, like, it holds up. It holds up really well, and like, I played it originally on like a launch window Game Boy Advance, which somehow had a darker screen than a regular Game Boy Advance. It's like, so much of that game as a kid was imagining what was actually happening and fighting to get like the right light on the window, like while in the car. Because like, that's the thing, is like I picked it up like right before going on a road trip. This was like the entire road trip was just like leaning at very specific angles, trying to catch the sun. And like, going back and playing it on the GBA collection that had, you know, it's on the Switch, it's backlit. You can see all of the gorgeous colors that they went with. And like, those bright colors are so, like, they definitely hold up better than, it's not Aria of Sorrow, it's the other one. Something of Dissonance. I know it starts with an H. What is it? What, like Hymn of Dissonance? Harmony of Dissonance? Yeah. And like, Harmony of Dissonance is really hard to look at in the backlit era. Like, it is kind of, it was really blowing my mind, like going and reading reviews from the era, describing just like, oh, these graphics are so beautiful and so nice, and it's such an improvement over Circle of the Moon. It's just like, what are you talking about? And it's like, okay, yeah, to some degree it's because they like used much brighter colors, so you could actually see it. But it really, it has some just doofy animations. It has just a lot, way too much of the, we're trying to make Symphony at Night. Like, I think my summing it up was just like, playing through Harmony of Dissonance felt like they wanted to make a Game Boy Color version of Symphony of the Night. And I know it's on the GBA, but it's just like, it just has that like Game Boy Color feel and quality to it a bit. And that feels mean-spirited to say, but it's just like, it was, I was kind of having fun, but like, there's just like a lot of little things like that. That's always what it comes down to. It's just like, there's so many little details in how those games work that determine whether they're good or not. I think Reinhardt will say something here in a second. Or not. Just look forward and be grumpy. But yeah, it's like, it's things like how the rooms are designed and how you navigate through them and navigating the castle, and just like, yeah, it's somewhere between that like Game Boy Color and SNES quality. It's like, it's not quite up to SNES stuff, as evidenced by the Final Fantasy 5 and 6 ports, where they're just a little off. The Final Fantasy 6 port, oh man, the airship feels so bad. Like, on SNES, it's like you're flying an airship, and it feels so delightful. It feels powerful. It feels great. And then in the the Game Boy Advance version was it chugs real hard on that. It's like 2 frames a second, and I don't like complaining about frames per second a lot of times, but like when it gets down to single digits, it's like, okay, yeah, there's something being lost here. But still, Final Fantasy VI in a portable console in that era, incredible. Yeah, like, I think the main thing that I kind of noted for Harmony of Dissonance in its like room design is there are different there's different types of like maze patterns, and like one of them is called the Sidewinder maze, and that's where you have a maze that goes like left and right a lot. Try the next jump. And like that's the sort of room style the Harmony of Dissonance had, and you just feel that room design, like that sort of design, and it just feels like there's a lot of walking back and forth, and you can just like feel it in the way you play. I was real worried about that jump. I didn't remember they made an SX. Jeez, I can talk. SSX Tricky. There we go for the GBA. There we go. Is that the play is just get so close that they don't do things? Oh, that worked well enough. One thing I don't want to pick up. I lied, there were two things. Yeah, the GBA was a wild time. Like, there was just... It was, like, just enough power to make, like, really interesting things, but not enough power to, like, make them good? That's not right, but that's kind of... Most... The retro remake in, like, the most literal sense. That makes sense. I think one of the big things is... I think by the time you get to the GBA, you're actually, like, developers were actually, like, working in C at that point, instead of having to, like, write specific... There's a low health animation. Or at least a stance. I keep getting surprised by just, like, things in this game. I would prefer... If I had a save, if I have a memory card, I could save right there. Sure would be nice. Just can't interact with that crystal. If I die, it is start of the level. So it's not entirely new game, but it is, you know, back to the start of this whole climb. This is a really bad camera angle for the jump I want to do. Made it. Yeah, it's a little brutal. I think this is also, like, largely how I played this game as a kid, because, you know, didn't have space on the memory card for whatever reason. Or just didn't have the memory card for however long. I think you're useful. Yeah, I think these are just crystals. I shouldn't have picked that up. I shouldn't have run into the exploding skeleton. Alright. I did remember that being a waste of time. Turns out it was. Alright, so now we don't have floor. So, falls are just death. Granted, they were getting pretty close to death up above or on the other side because, you know, there is fall damage in this game. And it works kind of like Elden Ring's fall damage, where it's like, you fall a certain amount, and everything's fine. You fall just a little bit further, and you lose half your health. You fall just a little further than that, instant death. Oh god. think that was just regular fall damage. I might have survived a fight. Had health. Here we go. This game's neat. It's better with a memory card. Meanwhile, back on other Castlevanias. Aria of Sorrow, fantastic. Excellent game. Simply, it ruled. Something... So, like, all this is, like, in relation to Dread. I've kind of come to the conclusion that I like Castlevania better than Metroid. And I think a lot of that is more of, like, for one, you have the RPG focus that makes terminal velocity death. All because a Medusa hit me. There's like a few aspects of it, and like I think one of them is just like the gear and experience system, Hickert. And like the RPG mechanics, I think, do add a nice touch and a nice flavor to Castlevania stuff. Okay, that's interesting. That if you try to go into a space that's too small for you, you will automatically crouch, it looks like. Or at least if you're doing that under the stairs. Yeah, unfortunately, Kurt, my memory card is full, so we're still running with no saves. And it's unfortunate because we're probably going to get about as far as we did last time. But this time we're doing it as Reinhardt. Yeah, I need to search and see if I did actually buy a like big page, like, you know, one of those ultra mega memory cards with 10 pages or whatever of memory. Thought I did, but also that might have been for my PlayStation, which unfortunately died. It was a few years ago at this point, but still bums me out. Anyway, so Castlevania versus Metroid. There's a few key differences. I think one of them is just like Castlevania does have that focus on equipment in RPG and stuff, and I think that actually makes for a better loot pool than hero ammo upgrades. The other big thing is just like, well, like another big thing is that Castlevania's... My dude, can you stop eating me? Just like running into the boss? Is that the problem? Yes, that is the problem. Please, Reinhardt, detach yourself from boss. And also eat some chicken. But like, Metroid has always used like item progression as your like overall game progression number, whereas Castlevania has always used map completion. And I think that does create a, like, there's just like a different vibe to that. That was not great. All right. Got some of the stuff, at least. I think, like, ultimately having having map progression as like the thing that's tracked over item completion is just like, it makes it, it's, I think, more lenient is one of the things. Because, you know, when you look at a map, Metroid forces you in a specific direction more meticulously. Castlevania rewards exploration. Both get you. Yeah. Like, very much that. And, like, Super Metroid is extremely good because there's so many ways to kind of break out of the intended path and strategy and everything. I just remembered because I died. I don't actually have any power-ups on my whip. What did I just say about Metroid? Like, I think the other big thing for me with Metroid is just like how the end game differs. Like, there is a point, and this is something that I've noticed in some other Metroidvanias as well. It's not just a Metroid problem. But it does seem to be more of a problem. You got me again. It does seem to be more of a problem in Metroid than it has been for me in Castlevanias, where the end game, allow that term, I do have automod turned on, and it apparently gets a little bit aggressive at times. Oh god. This is fine. This is no longer fine. That's death. This tower is rough. So, like, I've found in the last couple of Metroids I've played that it's just like there's never a good reason to turn back and like find things early, because I'm going to need all of the equipment and everything in order to like actually fully clear and find all of the items. And like I think that is also just kind of a thing tied to the item completion problem is Reinhardt, please. Okay, fine. Bat, leave. There we go. Got him. Yeah, it's like with the last couple of Metroids I've played, it's just like, okay, I could like turn around and go to that thing that I saw, and it's like I could do some backtracking now, or I can just leave it to the end of the game. And then it just makes me like the last couple of Metroids in particular, it has just kind of turned into I have gone It's basically like I beat the game almost. I am at the boss. I see that power up and I want it very badly. Boss, I hate you. You're in the way. Give me the power up. Give me the power up. Yes. I'm dead. That's on me. It's just like, I think this is kind of the thing. It's just like with Castlevania, it's like when I'm exploring and it's like, I feel like there's a lot more ways to go. And not necessarily I have to go one specific direction, even though I think ultimately it kind of ends up being largely true that you have to go in one specific direction. But like, I don't know, I just feel like there's less of a focus on, and now you have finished fighting the final boss, but there's actually the final boss beyond that. Go right up to the door to that boss to get like your final power up, and now turn around. Don't die. I died. Medusa heads are brutal. But yeah, like the last couple of Metroids I played, it's just like get all the way up to, and now you're going to go fight the final boss. Point of no return, here you go. Turn around, go back through the entire game. Now that I have all of my power-ups, and collect missiles and life containers and whatever. It's just like, hooray, my numbers are going up slightly. And it's just like, I do not have a schedule. It's very haphazard around here. October, I try to do spooky game nights on Fridays, but my start time has been random. I think the first week I started at 8, the second week I started at like 7. This time I started at like 11:30. Yeah, try to do spooky game nights. Next week might be another late one. I think I've got some friends that are wanting to play some spooky games, and Friday's kind of like the best night for them. Thanks for good luck. Thanks for hanging. Have a good one, Matt. Get them Z's. Oh goodness, that jump scared me. But yeah, like ultimately, it feels real bad getting up to the final door and then turning around and re-exploring the entire map, because now I actually have the things that I need to do the stuff. Whereas like, I'm trying to figure out like exactly how Castlevania has avoided that problem, in my opinion, because it still does like a lot of the same aspects of like, you require a specific key item to continue. Would I please stop getting set on fire? It's like there's still choke points in Castlevanias. What about it gets a pass from me? I got clipped by the fire. Man. It's like, ultimately, I don't know what the answer is. It's like, I don't know exactly what makes me enjoy going around Castlevania, exploring and finding, like, I know some degree of it is just like, I prefer finding items that might be interesting versus ammo counts that are just numbers going up, essentially. And I know Like, Metroid Prime is my favorite partially because of the relic hunt that so many people hate. Because it gives me an opportunity to, like, actually go around with pretty much my full power set and enjoy it. I know that that's a big problem that I've had in other Metroids. It's just like, cool, I am now Samus at full power. I am playing as the baddest bitch in the universe. Let me go do just one thing and then the game's over. And like, I was just saying, Aria of Sorrow was really good, but I know it unlocks some abilities like right at the end of the game. But they're not really like required. Like, they're required in like key item sort of ways. Reinhardt, please. Thank you. It's like, if I remember correctly, like the last thing you unlock in in Aria of Sorrow is just like, hey, here's this like super fast movement ability. This game, man. But it's like a thing that makes exploration like even more fun to do and like way more efficient. And I feel like Metroids are always like, and here's your power bomb so you can do giant room clearing things, but you only have 5 of them. And that's with upgrades. I feel like maybe the answer is just like, I prefer finding items to numbers that go up. But like, on the back end, items are just numbers going up. So like, why do I prefer these numbers going up to those other numbers going up? Again, maybe it's just like more of the exploration. Like, that feels wrong. That feels wrong of just like saying that Castlevania is more exploration focused than Metroid. But at the same time, I feel like maybe it's true because like I did also play through Super Metroid recently. And like I had a really good time, and it's like everything felt like my idea of I'll go here next. But also, there is like the most masterclass ever level guidance through that game. Like, the designers are straight up taking you through that ride and making it feel like it was all your idea. Alright, in other news, no, I cannot change the camera view. I disagree with that hit. And then there's, of course, Hollow Knight, which I didn't enjoy. That is my hot gamer opinion. It's like, at least when I talk about Hollow Knight, I can point to, like, here are very specific things that frustrated me about the game. And why I ultimately did not enjoy it. A large part of it comes down to, while I was searching for progression, I got entirely lost. And had absolutely no idea where to even consider going. So I ended up doing things like... Game, please. The entire Coliseum of Fools. Because it's like, well, I've got no other ideas. Let me just go down and do this. And it was a bad time. And I finally did it. And then I got the reward of being called fool. And that didn't feel good at all. And it's like, well, I have no other ideas because I forgot about the exact location of where I was supposed to go, because it was just like, here's a dark gray corner with a dark gray background. And I have a lot of thoughts about the visual style of Hollow Knight. It's visually pleasing. I find that it really does not aid exploration, because most everything is like, okay, here's the space that had this color of background, but then there's like 3 or 4 places that are just like gray or blue. So ultimately, I couldn't remember, like, the one corner of the map where there was a thing that I really needed to go do. I end up searching in all of the wrong places for it, including falling into the White Palace and the Path of Pain. And I made a mistake. I didn't die, hooray. Now I feel foolish. Anyway, going into the Path of Pain searching for progression feels real bad. Not recommended. Turns out that's not where progression is. And, that was a bad jump. That's all on me. And ultimately, yeah, it was just like a really bad time. But I worked all the way through the Path of Pain, got to the very end where there's like the 2 knights or whatever, and then died in that fight. And if you die in that fight, then you respawn at the very start of Path of Pain. And that was the point at which I said, fuck this game forever. Went, beat the Hollow Knight, got the worst ending probably, and immediately uninstalled it so that I would never play it again. And I almost did play it again when Dan Floyd was having such a good time during his playframe run of it. And then I found, oh hey, I uninstalled it and deleted my data. Why did I do that? Oh right, because I never wanted to play this game again. Was it really that bad? Why did I think that at the time? And then I continued watching Dan Floyd's playthrough. realizing, oh, right, these things. These are the aspects which made me not like this game. Like, I think Hollow Knight's got some interesting ideas. I just don't think they gel with me. And there is an aspect of just like how much of my opinions on Hollow Knight would be improved if I played on not the Switch launch version, which had frame rate issues and weird lagging bits and stuff like that. Maybe there was input delay or something, I don't know. But I do know they patched it so it runs better. Would that fix my problems, or at least some of them? Because I do remember frame rate being an issue there of just like the certain fights were they would drop to like single frames, and also because they programmed it in a way where, you know, things are not based on frame rate, all of the physics continue to run at full 60 frames per second or whatever, but I'm only seeing, you know, one frame of said 60. Reinhardt, please. Ha! Sucker. I can stand back here with a knife. Anyway, they programmed their game correctly, which felt bad. is the short version. Like basically when the frame, you know, when I started having frame drops and on the original Switch release port thing, whatever words, those were some real bad. It was real bad. Like certain bosses with a lot of particles and a lot of moving objects would just completely tank the frames, and the game would go into PowerPoint mode, but all the physics are still running at 60 frames per second. So it's just like I'm still taking damage, and because I'm taking damage, there's more particles on screen, so it runs slower. But the physics are still running at proper, you know, proper 60 frames a second. And it's one of those things of like, you know what? Maybe NES slowdown wasn't a bad thing. I've explained this opinion very poorly, but it's also late. I might have a few ciders in me. And also, my memory card doesn't have space for me to actually save. Reinhardt, why you gotta slide so far? That's not good. Alright. My patience is waning a bit on this level. I'd really like to be able to save. I swear I bought a memory card for N64 at some point that has, you know, it's one of those dumb, like, super pagey sorts of memory cards. This is like, oh, it's actually multiple memory cards, but just in one space. I swear I bought one. But it might have been for PlayStation, actually. And I'm just misremembering. forgot they played music if you sat here long enough. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it a night. It is a little bit late. I am kind of tired. I'm frustrated with this tower. I really want to track down a hacking memory card. It's bumming me out. Okay, yeah, we're going to call it a day. Thanks for hanging. Y'all have a good night. That's about all I've got. Next week, I don't know. We'll see. I still do want to play this, but I need a memory card. Like, it is turning into, I really just need a memory card because, man, I'm tired of going through this tower. And then falling because the Medusa heads hit me, or I make just one error in judgment and start the level over. Alright. I'm done. I'm gonna go see if I can track down a memory card. Y'all, have a good night. Catch you next time.
Bye-bye.